Don't panic, grab your towels. On this special 40-second episode of BookWatch, we are going on a crazy intergalactic adventure with Douglas Adams' 1979 cult classic, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This book was adapted to film in 2005, stars Martin Freeman, Sam Rockwell, and Zooey Deschanel. The film was written by Douglas Adams himself, along with Carrie Kirkpatrick, and the film was directed by Garth Jennings, known for popular animated kids film Sing. I'm your host, Jordan.
I'm Sarah Day.
And I'm Chris.
Okie dokie, folks. Quick summary for this story. I'm going to go through it quickly as well, mostly because I was confused and I didn't really understand what was going on for most of the time I was reading this book. But the story follows Arthur Dent. He's a British bachelor, and he learns that his home, his literal house dwelling, and the planet Earth have both been scheduled for demolition. And at the same time is learning that his best friend and his worst enemy are humanoid aliens. His friend, Ford Prefect, saves Arthur just before the destruction of the Earth, and they hitchhike their way onto a spaceship, and they get tossed out of that spaceship after some terrible poetry, and then they land on another spaceship, which is being manned by the president of the universe, Zaphod Beetlebrox, who is actually Arthur's romantic enemy because he stole Trisha McMillan, aka Trillian, from Arthur in the middle of a party back on Earth when Earth existed. The unlikely crew is rounded out by Marvin, the paranoid / clinically depressed robot, whom I really related to in this story because I also was confused and not having the best time. And the ship computer is called Eddie, which is more of like a Sarah Day personality, just like super bubbly and bright. And hey, how are you? We're going to have so much fun getting chased by missiles. And then they end up on a legendary planet that creates other planets. And then there's super sentient mice. And there's a supercomputer called Deep Thought that's voiced by Helen Mirren. And that helps them answer the question of life, which is 42. Or sorry, the question of life, the universe, and everything. And the answer is 42. But then they have to go.
Which is, like you mentioned in the beginning, our episode number today.
We worked very hard to make sure
Make
that
that
we end up this way.
It was a lot of effort behind the scenes, you guys, to get to this point today.
Deep thought went into this.
Deep thought went into this. But then the answer was 42, but then they're like, what the heck is the question? So they're trying to get back the question, and then the mice want to steal Arthur's brain because he was on Earth. There's a lot happening. Very confusing. Fun. Weird. Lots of different emotions while reading this book. What did y'all think?
Well, I think that the confusion for you and I, at least, comes from the back and forth of the way this book is told and the storytelling technique. He goes off on lots of tangents, and we all already talk about having ADHD, so having a narrator that also has ADHD is not helpful at all. And I mean, it is fun. I think it worked better for the film for me. I was listening to it on audio, so I don't know how it would feel if I actually sat down and read this book, if it would still feel as disjointed as the audiobook felt. But again, I think the movie, it worked really well. It's a fun story. It's a fun film. I remember watching this when this came out. I was a Zooey Deschanel fan, so of course I wanted to watch this film, and of course Alan Rickman fan, so I wanted to watch this film. Again, it's just a fun sci-fi film, and then of course I found out it was based on a book, and now we are covering the book. This is the first time that I've read it. I was pleasantly surprised at how similar the book, or I guess I should say the film, was to the book in that disjointed storytelling, how he just goes off on the tangents and is reading excerpts from the Hitchhiker's Guide itself. But yeah, and then we get to the end and it's just kind of like, okay, so wait, what?
Well, the problem is the ending led right into the next book, which we never got a film for. The next book is The Restaurant at the End of the Universe.
Which is where they were heading, right?
Exactly. So they literally set it up for the sequel, but we never got there. I loved the storytelling method. I think that having those little moments where you step aside and have a little slightly relevant but very disconnected thought is exactly the way my brain works. So if as long as I can connect the dots all the way through, then I'm good to go, and it itches just that right scratch in my brain. So I think that I actually did not watch this film when it first came out. It wasn't until only a few years ago that I finally got around to watching it. Everybody was telling me, "You got to read it, you got to watch it, you got to read it," and I was like, "Oh, all right, I'll get there eventually." It's one of those things that if it's a little too popular, I'm less interested usually. But then I got to it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this I can see why everybody thought I'd enjoy this. So, the characters, I love the actors and actresses for the all the roles in this. There were certain parts that in the book I definitely imagined them a little differently, but I think that they pulled it off pretty well for what they were doing in 2005 there.
Yeah. I had a friend in like 6th grade tell me that I should read this book, and we were best friends, and we had like matching tastes in books, and so I was like, okay, yeah, like if she says I'll like it, and I DNF'd it because
Mm,
I had the same problem that I had now, which is like the tangents and like going off all over the place. I was like, just tell me what the story is. Tell me the story. Tell me what the frick is going on, and like stay focused. But it does not stay focused. There's like flashbacks and lateral flashes of like, this is what's happening to these people, but then also this is what's happening here. This is what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, but we're going to go back here. And then, like you said, Saturday, like the actual like excerpts from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is like an in-universe encyclopedia, like all the back and forth. I just was like, girl, what? Like my head was spinning. And
Maybe
I,
it's because
Particularly,
humans are only the third smartest species in the
that's
universe.
true. If I was
Maybe
a
if you were a
dolphin, I probably
dolphin
would have got
or a
it. Yeah.
mouse, you would have understood.
Yeah, probably.
I think my favorite tangent and like the most random one is when the missiles turn into a potted plant in the whale, and the poor
Yeah.
whale is just like brought into existence just to fall to his death, and it's just like you get his whole thought process during his fall, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
Such a
okay,
funny interaction.
this is
I
Trying
didn't
to come up
like
with
so
names for
it.
random. I
things
know,
and
it's very, very sad. Poor whale.
perfect. I
Um,
relate more with the potted
the
plant
potted
though.
plant.
Not
Yeah.
this again.
Yeah.
I think we all
If
do.
we
Another
understand.
tangent.
Yeah.
If we understood what was going on in that potted plant's mind, then we'd be a lot further along in life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will say, to Chris's point, like the movie and the book are both very quotable. Like there's a lot of like just
Yes.
quick little one-off things where like if you can get it to stick in your brain, you can just whip it out whenever, and like just like don't panic, don't forget your towel, and like the question of life, the universe, and
Yes.
everything.
I
Like
would say that's
there's a
the
lot of
most
stuff.
memeable one, and like the most recognized is that the answer to life is 42.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
those listening and not watching, I do have my towel. I seem to be the only one who came prepared, but I do have my towel with me.
I'm not a hitchhiker. I prefer to have my own ship. Thank you very much.
I'll be looking for that ride then.
You got it. All right, well, let's get into these characters and their actor portrayals. First up, the POV character of Arthur Dent. He's played by Martin Freeman, aka The Hobbit. We know him.
Or Marvel, we know him
I
from
was gonna say,
Black
I think,
Panther,
yeah.
or so
And
he's definitely
isn't he also in Sherlock?
yeah,
Yeah,
he's in
he's
the
Holmes
Sherlock TV shows,
with
TV
Benedict
show as
Cumberbatch. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
he's
Watson.
Watson. Yeah.
Watson. Yep,
Yeah.
he's the Watson to Sherlock. Is Benedict. Yeah, that's great.
I thought that he was a great author. I don't know who I would have pictured reading the book if I had read the book first without knowing this film. But he's definitely encapsulated that character for me.
Yeah.
There's a BBC version of this as well out there that I was looking at yesterday, and my wife thinks that the British actors that like were much more old school British, like very mismatched clothes for for Ford and Arthur in his robe and all that, and she thought they looked like they'd be a really great match to the characters, but because she read the book with me as well,
Mm.
but I think Martin Freeman definitely did a good job with kind of that curmudgeon that, well, was there any tea around? Can I think my world will be more straightened up by a good cup of tea, and just kind of pulled off that English homebody a little bit pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And then his alien. I have nothing to add. So yeah. His alien friend Ford Prefect, who he he is like the hitchhiker character. He's played by the actor formerly known as Mos Def. And he he's leading Arthur on this journey, like, oh hey, by the way, I'm an alien, hey, by the way, Earth is gonna be destroyed. And their relationship, he like picked his name Ford Prefect because he thought that was a good Earth name since he was hitchhiking here.
Well, he thought
um
the cars were the sentient species here, so he
yes,
tried to introduce himself to a car right away. So that makes sense too with the Ford Prefect name.
yes,
I
yeah,
thought
he
he did a
didn't
good
have
job,
yeah,
but
he didn't have as much of a role as I thought he would have, like from reading the book. Like the movie definitely instead of like splitting the focus between Arthur and Ford, it's focused mostly on Arthur.
right. But I think he definitely pulled off that kind of crazy homeless kind of feel on Earth, and then like even when he's in space, he's this hitchhiker that's just kind of a nomad in the universe and not really connected with anybody, but knows a lot because he's a writer and is trying to learn as much as he can about different areas. So I think he definitely pulled off the role of this transient person. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I thought he was fine. It's not an actor that I'm familiar with, so that kind of helps, get into that character when you're not
yeah,
thinking of the actor.
Yeah. Well, the next character can't really. Zaphod Beetlebrox, the president of the universe, played by Sam Rockwell. And they really try to make Sam Rockwell disappear in this role, in my opinion, but at the end of the day, it's still just Sam Rockwell. God bless him.
Well, I was gonna say quite opposite of what I was saying with Mos Def.
Yes.
Sam Rockwell does disappear into the role. Yes, you still know he's Sam Rockwell because it's Sam Rockwell, but I think the costume, his acting, his wig, the
Yeah.
CGI with the second head, like I think it all really did a good job of melding him into the character, and I think that he was spot on.
Yeah.
yeah, they definitely have that social commentary with the whole president of the universe thing. Being just a figurehead that's meant to distract people from the real politics. I think that was a lot of fun. I think Sam Rockwell really did a good job with just being this person that never should have been president and is just
Hmm.
running around the universe, stealing stuff and doing his own thing. And definitely his energy went right into that perfectly.
Yeah.
Very ahead of its time.
I was gonna say, I'm like, and this book was written in 1979.
Which just
And the
goes
movie's
to
from
show how
20 years
politics have
ago.
always been, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about life on this earth, is that some things never change.
Or in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, apparently. Next character is Trisha McMillan, aka Trillian. She's played by Zoe Deschanel. And if I had a nickel for every time a man walked in on Zoe Deschanel while she was in the shower in a movie, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Elf.
Elf in
Yes.
this one, yeah. It was almost the same scene in a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah. I was waiting for her to start singing Christmas carols.
If it had, I don't. When did Elf come out? Was it? It was right around the same time, I think, too, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's gotta
So
have
yeah, it
been,
would have been
yeah.
pretty funny to have a little connection there
That was
of
like
like,
her heyday.
yeah, I love her.
2003. So
Yeah.
this was a couple years
This was
after
just right
Elf.
after it, so that would have been kind of a hilarious callback if she'd just been humming along to Christmas carols.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought she was fine. She like Zoe Deschanel like she's Zoe Deschanel, like
Right.
has very unique face, unique voice, and
Yes.
so she's another one for me, like I was saying with Sam Rockwell, like she's always kind of just her with
Yes.
random costume put on, and then even like the costume, she was like from Earth, so she didn't even have like a weird spacey costume to kind of distract you from the fact that she was Zoe Deschanel.
Hmm.
She definitely has the energy though for this kind of character. She I think as an actress is really good at just improving stuff and just going with whatever is coming at her. And so I think that she did really good in the role because she just can roll with whatever weirdness. Oh yeah, I found someone from space and he actually was from space.
Yeah.
Had a
Yeah.
spaceship, so I left.
Yeah, she wanted to go on an adventure, and so she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. I think Phil, like we can talk about this a little bit more with the plot too, or like the actual character arcs, but like her like rejecting Arthur because he wasn't willing to like drop everything and go to Madagascar when they literally had just met like an hour ago. I'm like, girl, be so serious right now. Like, I get that you want an adventure and you want to go and see crazy places and stuff, but also like you're joking. Um, so
Come on,
I
what did he
was
have to live for? He was just in his little house drinking his tea. He could have done it.
Right.
He could have made it happen.
I guess that's the Marvin in me, that I'm like, no, that's not realistic at all. I don't like it. Speaking of
Of course, he would.
Marvin,
Yeah, go ahead.
speaking of Marvin, voiced by the one and only Alan Rickman, R.I.P. to the legend. And apparently, there was a person in the robot suit, and that was the beloved Warwick Davis, who does a lot of stuff as a small person, little person. I don't know what the correct term is. I'm sorry. But you know him from Star Wars, Harry Potter, all these Willow, all these things. So the two of them together put together a wonderful performance for Marvin, the manically depressed robot.
He is great.
I loved his character design, like with the big old head and
Head the size of a planet.
Yes.
brain. Isn't his brain the size of a planet?
Yeah, brain the size of a planet.
Yeah.
Which is why he has a head so big.
Yeah. But I think he's an adorable depressed robot. I love him. I want to adopt him.
The idea of having robots with the human emotions and then that would cause them to be depressed is kind of hilarious. So I think that, yeah, they definitely, and putting Alan Rickman as the voice definitely gave it that kind of tonality that kind of just had that perfect cadence for a depressed robot for sure.
Yeah, I think, and I listened to the audiobook as well. And Stephen Fry was the narrator of my version, and he did a great job with this voice. And at times when I was listening to the audiobook, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds like Alan Rickman. That's so funny. And then in the movie it was Alan Rickman. I was like, oh, I called it. I called the casting. Like, look at me go. I was so proud
So
of
I guess the
myself.
question is, was Alan Rickman just a depressed robot? Is that what we're coming to find out? He just sounds like one, apparently.
It would stand to reason. I mean, aren't we all depressed robots a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Stuck in this meat body.
Let's not get too philosophical here.
Let's focus on the weirdness of this and not the deep emotional questions.
But they're trying to solve the life, universe, and everything. This is a deeply philosophical book. We got to jump into this.
Girl.
Next episode.
Listeners, it's very early in the morning on the West Coast when we're recording. My brain is not awake yet.
For you guys.
For me, for us over here who usually are not waking up until this time of day, it's a lot. So let's pause on. Let's put a pin in that. We'll come back later.
Fair enough.
Okay, and then speaking of, I mentioned Stephen Fry. He also gets some voice work in this film. He's the narrator, so you hear him like doing the voiceovers, talking, giving some exposition here and there. And then he also is the voice of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The actual book has an audio function that will read out loud to you like an audiobook. And so he gets to do that voice as well. So kind of reprising his role from doing the audiobook.
And I swear you're right. I think, Serday, that there was a moment where as the Earth's about to be destroyed, they're panning through people. And I'm pretty sure there's a Stephen Fry in like a coffee shop sitting there. He had a wig on or something. Said that. You mentioned it when you were like, you thought he might have had a cameo in the movie. And
I have no idea what Stephen Fry looks like.
Oh, well, we were texting about it, and that's definitely what you said. I was like, I thought that was what you meant, but maybe you meant just that he was the guide. But there definitely was a moment.
Yes, I meant yes, yeah. I meant like, because I saw him in the like opening credits.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure he was actually sitting at a coffee shop in one of those moments.
That's fun.
And then these are smaller roles, but big names, especially in British media. So I thought we'd mention them. The computer Deep Thought, voiced by Helen Mirren. That's the computer that comes up with the answer to the universe, life, and everything as 42. And then she creates the next generation of supercomputer to come up with the question. And that was how Earth was created, by the super sentient mice from another dimension. And then on the planet where all of this is being learned is the character Slarty Bartfast, who is played by Bill Nye, who I recognize as Scrimmager from Harry Potter.
Yep.
I was like, oh, I know that one from Harry Potter. Pretty much
He's
all of
also
these
Davy
actors are
Jones
from
in the
Harry
Pirates of the
Potter.
Caribbean, but also
Yes.
several other. I
Yeah.
think of the movies In Time, where he plays the father of the time traveler, which is like one of my favorite movies. And then
His
like
credits
lots of
are
very
extensive.
popular.
Yeah.
Love Actually, he's the rock star. So
Right.
yeah, very, very well known actor.
Yeah.
Deep Thought, I definitely from reading the version of the book I read was the one where Douglas Adams actually read it, the author, and
Okay.
Oh.
he his voice for Deep Thought was a very deep and ethereal voice, and so when I heard Helen Mirren do it, I was like, okay, it's fine, but not what I pictured in the from my audiobook read. So
I of course saw the movie first, and actually I don't even know. I'm pretty sure my version was Stephen Fry, but
probably
I was the opposite. I was very alarmed when I heard the deep thought in the audiobook. I was like, oh yeah, mine was Douglas. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, but I was the opposite because I was like, whoa, I was expecting a female voice for Deep Thought, and it was narrated by Stephen Fry, my version. So to see him also do a deeper voice for Deep Thought, which I guess is like deep thought, then you want to be a deep voice. But I think I prefer Helen Mirren's voice for the computer.
obviously it's a
And
computer. They
also,
changed
again, really liked the character design for Deep Thought, how she's just kind of like, ah, here I am thinking away.
Mm-hmm.
when the computer's watching TV later on. It's just kind of like that's hilarious. There's this tiny little TV with this giant computer just watching TV,
Yeah. All right.
but that's more for later.
That's all the big characters that I mentioned that we planned on talking about. Are there any other characters that you guys want to talk about that are not listed here?
I mean, there's the Vogons and there's a few other alien species we see throughout that just keep recurring, but no specific actors that go with them. So they're just kind of that I know of. So they're just kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to comment on the character design, and I don't know if there's puppetry. I mean, we know that Warwick Davis was inside Marvin, but the Vogargs themselves didn't look like they were CGI. They looked like they were practical effects. Um, I'm just trying to pull up now to see if they won any rewards for like character design or anything. But it's a very bright movie. It's a very fun movie. Like the sets were great, the props were great, like the gun that makes you feel the feelings um was a fun design. Like the ship was a fun design. Like everything was just a really well put together film.
Prefect, we're forward. I think we're couches. I think we're sofas. Yeah, I feel that too.
I feel like the only thing as far as like characters and character design that I would change is like even the humanoid aliens like Ford and Zaphod, they just end up looking like regular humans, like just in weird clothes. So I would, or like the Magrathians, like those are just dudes. Those are just British dudes. So I wish like for the alien species that they had like some other feature that like identified them more as aliens.
That's
But
just
I
your Earth
know,
man thinking that all aliens should be little green men, not humans. But
oh, they
if
could be
we're
purple men or blue men. They don't have to be green.
but you need them not to be human.
I want my aliens to not look like humans. Yes, sue me.
But until we actually meet some aliens, I think we're kind of stuck with imagining them not like us. But you never know. Everybody.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
we managed to survive here. Who says that our design didn't manage to leak out to the universe somewhere?
That's true. If we are a creation of sentient mice and,
Yeah, exactly.
architects, then it's possible that we could have been
They
copied
just
and
populated all
pasted.
their planets with the same model that they just plopped in there, and so we're all the
Dang.
same across the universe.
Wretched, isn't it?
They're almost
All
done
right.
filling up the oceans.
um so these characters, like, this story is not a heavy like character driven story. There's not a lot of development that happens for the characters. I would say, like, again, Arthur as the POV character, he kind of goes from being like the whiny coward who like just wants to stay home to like, we have to save Trisha, or Trillian, we have to like, being a little bit more willing to like be brave and do stuff instead of just like sitting and letting life happen to him. But other than that, like, everybody else is kind of just has the same frame of mind, the same kind of mindset from beginning to end. They just like, this is just kind of telling their experience, not really talking about if/how they were changed by their experiences, other than Arthur.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a fun adventure story.
Yep. It's meant to be pretty light, but also have that social commentary. So I think we definitely get a lot of, you if you think a lot about it, you can definitely pull some big messages out of the story, but you can also just watch it and enjoy the chaos.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for this episode, talking about the characters of Hitchhikers to the Galaxy. Unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Final thought is just so long and thanks for all the fish.
Try to be smarter than a dolphin today if you can. And we'll see you next week.
That song gets stuck in my head every time I watch the movie. I'll end up listening to it on repeat on my iPod just because.
Not the
So
iPod.
long, and thanks for all the fish.
So long and thanks for all the fish.
Bye.
That's a wrap for today's episode of BookWatch. I hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of page-to-screen adaptations. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share it with your fellow book and movie lovers. If you'd prefer to watch along, you can check the show out on YouTube. You can follow the show on Instagram at BookWatch Podcast, and you can follow me, Sarah Day, on Instagram at captain.mcdee. That's MCDEE. You can also join the conversation in the BookWatch Lounge on Facebook at www.facebook.com/groups/BookWatchLounge. If you would like to support the podcast, you can join the Patreon at www.patreon.com/BookWatchPodcast. Tiers start at only $4 a month, and I'd love to have you over there. If you have a favorite adaptation you'd like to cover with me, I'd love for you to apply to be on the show with the contact form on our website at www.bookwatchpodcast.com. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and I'll see you next week.